Hello and welcome to RidgeCast from home. I'm your host Lloyd Renda, and this is the news. If you didn't get a chance to do it earlier in the year, Hurler Photography will be on Emerald Ridge campus to take photos starting next week. They'll be taking photos for ASB cards, yearbook, and student systems. Hurler will have a cashier on campus to take cash and check payments, or you can prepay for your photos on their website. Be aware that before you can enter the building, you will need to take a health attestation and your temperature will be taken, so be prepared for that. Here's a list of all the times for all of the grades so that you can mark your calendar. In other news from the athletics department, fall sports are starting soon. Football practice begins February 1st, and all other fall sports, except water polo and boys tennis, will begin on February 8th. If you're a 9th to 12th grader interested in playing football at Emerald Ridge, please log on to www.jagnation.org and register under the registration tab if you haven't already. If you have any questions or just want more information, please contact Coach Shackle in the athletics department. Finally, the last day of first semester is a half day on Friday, January 29th. If you have any concerns about your grades or anything else, please contact your teachers and your counselors as soon as you can with the link on screen. I had a meeting with my counselor last week because I'm personally failing pre-calc, so even though it might be a little bit uncomfortable, if I can do it, I'm sure you can do it too. Anyways, that's going to do it for this week's RidgeCast. I hope you're all doing okay, and I'll see you all next time.
What is up, Emerald Ridge? Mr. Tavern here with the next installment of Tav's Top 10. Before I get into this list, I'd like to thank everybody for their messages, their emails, their commentaries about my obviously controversial first top 10, my top 10 holiday movies. Shout out to everybody for the feedback and keep it coming as we move into the next top 10. My top 10 bands / musicians / artists / composers. It's kind of an eclectic list, so I didn't know what to call it. So let's get right into it. Now, I know it's a top 10, but I got to throw an honorable mention. That's what the HM is. Disney music. I love Disney music, but it's such a broad category. I couldn't just pick one singer, one artist, one writer. So an honorable mention, shout out before the top 10 to Disney music. Rolling in at number 10, we got Brother Is, one of my favorite artists and one of my favorite albums, Facing Future. If you haven't listened to Brother Is, you are missing out on some great music that's inspiring and uplifting and just wonderful to listen to. Number 9, the original singer-songwriter, Bob Dylan, on the list, not only for his contributions as a singer, but also as a songwriter. So many of the great songs from the 60s and 70s and after were written by Bob Dylan. If you don't know his music, you might have heard some of it, but check it out. Number 8, the recently rebranded The Chicks, formerly known as the Dixie Chicks. I'd say if I had to pick a country group or artist that was my all-time fave, it would be the Chicks, no contest. Love their music, and here's my favorite album of theirs, Taking the Long Way. Coming in at number 7, our first composer on the list. Now, being the theater teacher, I am a big fan of musical theater, and my favorite musical theater composer is Stephen Sondheim. He wrote Sunday in the Park with George, as you can see here, but you might know him better as the composer of Into the Woods or Sweeney Todd. And what is a top 10 list without the one, the only Frank Sinatra? Now, not only do I love Sinatra and his voice and his style of music, I love to play his music on the piano, and listening to Frank Sinatra always reminds me of my grandma, and so it's got a good nostalgia factor going on with it. Number 5, my daughter would tell you that a lot of times in our household we are listening to Star Wars music. And I love John Williams, the composer. I love other music by John Williams as well, Saving Private Ryan, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, the first 3 Harry Potter movies. John Williams is a classic composer for movies, and I love his stuff. Getting down to it, number 4, a band out of North Carolina, the Avett Brothers. If you have always been looking for a band that you would describe as punk bluegrass, then the Avett Brothers are the band for you. Check them out. They come in at number 4 on my list. And number 3, maybe some would have guessed that this would be higher. Number 3, the Beatles. Now, we owe so much of what we know as popular music to the Beatles and their innovations. And here they are on the cover of Abbey Road, my favorite Beatles album. I could listen to the Beatles all day, all day, all day. Top 2, here we go. Number 2, a local artist, Brandi Carlile. Here is her album, The Story. Brandi Carlile's voice just packs such an emotional punch, and her lyrics are just so spot on. If you don't know Brandi, check her out. I recommend you start with The Story. And here we go, number 1. Carbon Leaf. Got my Carbon Leaf t-shirt on right here. There you go. Carbon Leaf is a band based out of Virginia. I would describe their music as Celtic folk rock. So if you're into that, check out Carbon Leaf. My top number 1 band. So there you have it, rife with controversy. We've got my top 10 bands, musicians, artists, composers. I look forward to hearing from you about your disagreements, your agreements, and love to talk to you about your music. So let's get to listening, everybody.